Okay, we're here with one of our favorite builders and flyers, Carl. Buchhuber, how you doing, buddy? What a great plane. Every year you surprise me. Now, what is this beauty we're looking at today?
This is a Douglas DC-6, the military version, which was called the VC-118. It was used to haul the president at that time, Harry Truman, and he had the plane painted specially and called it the Independence in honor of his hometown, Independence, Missouri. And the model has a 180-inch wingspan. It actually is about five and a half years old. It's powered with G26s, and it's actually quite marginally powered. I have a feeling that most of our airplanes, our radio control airplanes, fly way too fast to really represent a realistic view of the real thing in the air. So what I do is sort of almost by design underpower them. So this plane flies quite slowly, and it takes some amount of gentleness on the controls. You don't want to, this plane isn't going to climb.
You don't want a horse in a fast takeoff or anything.
You're not going to want to do that.
Basically, as a builder yourself, you're really trying to build something that's a little bit more authentic.
Yes.
And I mean, you're not doing loops and rolls with this, nothing that the plane would do, because it is really just a passenger plane.
Right. I doubt if the president at the time would have appreciated a 4-point slow roll. I just don't think so.
I don't think everything inside was all tied down for that anyways. Was this one of the first Air Force One planes? Basically, that's what it was.
This was the first Air Force One plane. And at that time, they didn't call it Air Force One, but certainly it was the first presidential plane specifically built and fitted for the president. This plane is on display down at the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. And when you go through it, it's very, very Spartan compared to the planes of today, the Air Force Ones of today.
Was there any specific things that you put into this that were a special touch just for this plane?
Well, the fact of the matter is that Harry Truman happens to be on board, and
oh, you're kidding me.
And no, he also is holding up a newspaper which most Canadians aren't going to remember, but in the 1948 U.S. election, he was predicted to lose that election by a landslide. Well, he won, barely, but he won. And the Chicago Tribune at the time put out a big newspaper headline the morning of the election saying that Dewey defeats Truman.
And he actually won.
And he actually won, and he was just rubbing it in their nose.
Rubbing it in their nose, exactly. What do we have to look out for as a flyer yourself when you're going to be taking off?
Well, I have to look out for my nerves because, crosswind like this, a plane like this can be a bit of a handful for an old guy, and I qualify in that case. And certainly not pulling the plane off prematurely off the ground. It isn't powered enough to climb out of a stall, so you want to be very careful in a very smooth takeoff. We've got the power to full, and we've reached our takeoff speed and gently nudged the plane into the air.
Oh wow, you got a little shimmy there.
Yeah.
I guess that wind's pulling you a bit.
It was.
Yeah.
And we climbed out, put the gear up once we knew that we were gaining altitude.
Now, she looks pretty smooth up there. It looks a little, like you said earlier, you're getting a little bit of buffeting with the wind, and I noticed that's that one little area. Are you going to try to fly above that or below that a little bit as you come around for the first pass here?
Well, I was just trying to get the feel of the aircraft in these wind conditions, and the plane actually, once it's in the air, is an easy flying airplane.
Now here it comes by, and that's beautiful. I can see what you mean.
Yeah.
She's really climbing well and everything. You're getting a little bit of turbulence there, but like expected with that wind. Now that's a beautiful plane. That looks like the real thing, Carl.
Well, that's what I try to achieve. Until you get up close to it, it looks like the real thing. Up close, it isn't quite as good.
Now, is landing going to be a factor here as well because of the wind?
Landing is usually the point where most of us make mistakes, especially in a crosswind. And so landing should be a real challenge here. And it's up to my spotter to really help me because of depth perception problems, to help me know that I'm over the runway. and before I chop the power and actually go flare for touchdown.
Now I can see you coming in here for the approach. You're just about ready to land. Are you going to be adding a little bit more right aileron here as well and landing just like you did in takeoff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful touchdown. Got a little bounce there, and that she settled really nice for such a big plane. I'm really surprised that it handles so well.
Thank you.
Thank you.